Hey, what's up guys? Jake with Legacy 4x4 here again, and today we are back working on my do-it-yourself teardrop, square drop, camper, lightweight, overbuilt trailer thing. So with that said, let's get started. Today we are going to be doing the finishing work on the exterior of the trailer. So as you guys know, if you've watched all of the other videos, that I am at the point of doing the finishing work on my trailer. The finishing of the exterior work anyways. I'll get to the inside later on and the rear hatch all later on in the future. For this video, we are going to be doing poor man's fiberglass. This is something I've never done before, but I'm very excited to try it out. So after doing a ton of research on the internet, I have determined that this is probably the best, cheapest way to skin the outside of the trailer with something that's waterproof. So let me walk you guys through my thought process here. So when I originally built it, I actually was not planning on doing any kind of fiberglass or poor man's fiberglass or any kind of finishing work on this wood. I thought the wood would be strong enough and I was going to coat it with some rhino liner to provide the protection and waterproofing for it, because rhino liner is a rubberized type coating. So I was like, okay, that might work to protect and waterproof the trailer. As I was going through it and as I was thinking about it more and more and I was doing more and more research, I decided that I don't want to ever rebuild this thing because it would be a pain to take these panels off. These aren't coming off anytime soon. So I was like, okay, well, what else can I do? There's like two main options. There's a few fringe ideas, but the two big ones that you'll find on all the forums and on Reddit and everything else is poor man's fiberglass or real fiberglass. Now, I have never worked with fiberglass before. I didn't want my first time working with fiberglass to be on this trailer, and also it's kind of cost prohibitive. To do a fiberglass setup, I would have been like $300-ish, $400-ish dollars, and that's using cheap epoxy and cheap fiberglass mat that I can buy on Amazon. Now, instead, I decided I would do the poor man's fiberglass, or so it's called, also called canvas and glue. Now, the canvas and glue, the poor man's fiberglass idea has been around for a really long time. It's actually a common boat building technique. Older boats, of course, before fiberglass, but it was a common boat building technique for hundreds and hundreds of years. So the idea is basically to use some kind of canvas drop cloth and some glue. Big jugs of wood glue. Now, from the videos I saw online and from the other stuff I saw online, this looks like a really durable coating, and so I wanted to give this a shot, because all in with 2 gallons of the glue and the 3 canvas cloths I needed, I was less than $100 into it. So that's why I decided to go with poor man's fiberglass. Now, the basic idea behind it is you have a drop cloth. I happen to buy these drop cloths at Harbor Freight because Harbor Freight sells them. They're very cheap. These are 8-ounce drop cloths, I think. And you take them. Oh, the other thing that's important about drop cloths is you want less seams in them, and the Harbor Freight ones actually don't have any seams, only the hems on the edges, which is ideal. So I went with those from Harbor Freight. They were like, I want to say they're like $10 or $11 each, and I got 4 of them to do the whole of the trailer. So to do 1 on each side, 1 on the front, 1 on the roof. So we've got those drop cloths all done, and then the other thing you need is Titebond 2 wood glue. So there are some other glues that people talk about. There's some other things that you can use like gripper paint and some other stuff, but Titebond 2 wood glue is the best from all the research I did. I didn't do any test pieces or anything like that because I'm trusting what I found on the internet, because there's so many videos and so many forum posts about this. So I decided to just trust what I saw on the internet. The idea is you use the water resistant Titebond 2 glue. Basically, you roll it onto the thing, onto the wood, and then you drop the canvas on top of it, hold it into place, and then roll more glue on the top of the canvas. Once it's all finished, you do one big final coat of all the glue to get everything all seated down, and then you have to paint it. You have to do some kind of thing to paint it. The idea is basically that the glue, the Titebond, is going to adhere, solidify, and fill some of the weaves of the canvas. And then your paint, or you use to coat the exterior of it, is going to finish providing, or finish filling all the weaves, and it's going to provide the UV protection to prevent the glue or the canvas from breaking down in sunlight. So I'm still going to rhino line this. I'm just going to rhino line it on top of the poor man's fiberglass. So at its most basic, the only materials you need is glue and canvas, and then I also picked up some spare rollers, like paint rollers, a paint tray, and that's about that. It's super, super simple. I also did pick up I also did pick up a couple of like smoothing tools. So I got a drywall sander thing, I think it's a drywall sander, but I'm gonna keep the foam on it and I'm gonna use that to help smooth out some of the creases. And I just ordered an iron on Amazon, a really cheap iron that I can use to help smooth out anything after the canvas is into place. So the glue is heat activated, so hopefully the iron will be able to smooth out any last minute wrinkles that I find on it as I go. Now, a lot of people said you have to wash the sheets first, and then you have to iron them to get out all the wrinkles, and that's how you get your best finish. I'm gonna not do that. So I was doing some other reading, and some people say you have to do it, some people say you don't. I'm of the opinion that when this comes out of the box, this is as flat and wrinkle-free as it will ever be. And throwing it into the washer and the dryer is going to just add wrinkles, and then it's gonna add ironing, it's gonna add steps to it. So I'm gonna try it without doing any of that kind of prep work. So let's go ahead and get started. It's pretty straightforward. I've actually already done the other side of the trailer. I did it yesterday off camera. I was testing the concept a little bit, but I did the other side of the trailer. It's not perfect, but I'm pretty happy with the texture and the finish that this provides. But we gotta do this side of it, the front and the top of the trailer. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so you guys can see I have the roof canvas on. I just did the first coat of putting that onto place. Now what I'll say is a couple things I've learned as I've been doing this. I actually find my hand with a glove, of course use a glove so you don't get glue all over your fingers. I find that using my hand to smooth out the wrinkles as I go is the most effective way to do it. And so what I've been doing is I'll do like 6 to 8 inches at a time, lay down the glue behind it with the roller, pull down on the canvas and pull it taut, and then lay the roller on top of it to get that glue to seat. Now, another thing is that it is a lot better to do just one direction with the roller, so either pull it towards you or push it away from you. Try not to do, back and forth, because I found as I was doing back and forth that the canvas had a habit of wanting to pick up a little bit off of that still tacky glue. I also found that it worked a little bit better before applying that top coat of glue to let it sit on top of the wood glue on the wood for a little bit first, so like give it a couple minutes to sit on top of it. That gives the canvas a chance to adhere down to the wood first before coming back through and doing the top coat of glue. This helps make it so that it doesn't pick up a little bit. So anyways, we got the top on, not cut as you can see at all, but we've got the top on right now, so I'm gonna keep moving around and finish putting the top on. The last little touches on the sides, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like. So we got the roof on and I've started doing my trimming. Now I wanted to talk about cutting the seams, the overlap, and a couple other small things. So I didn't include it when I was talking about the materials you need for this, but you're also going to need a very sharp pair of scissors and a lot of sharp razor blades. So I got a fresh pair of scissors and a couple boxes of razor blades from Harbor Freight earlier so that I could cut this seam out. The canvas is thick, it's easy enough to cut with scissors, but you are going to want some sharp ones so you can have the nice clean lines. Now, the thing that everybody always complains about when it comes to Poor Man's Fiberglass is this fraying that you get. And I'm just going to be honest, it's like impossible to not have it fray. I tried a couple things like a little bit of fire and some other stuff, it's just impossible, it's going to fray. I'm not that worried about it because a couple thick coats of paint are going to fix that. So I'm going to probably do some kind of a primer paint on top of this before I rhino line it, just to help seal in this fabric and give it some UV protection beyond just the rhino liner. I think 1 gallon of paint is just easy, cheap protection for that. But for my seam, you can see you want to have an overlap of like 1 to 2 inches. I did about 1.5 inches here, and it follows along the whole top of the trailer, along where that top of the canvas was. Now, you want to do the roof last. The roof is by far the easiest part to do, but you want to make sure you do the roof last. The reason is because you want the water to come off of this and then down the side, and you don't want to have any potential for water to get seeped up underneath of the canvas. So you want to do the roof last. So I did all the sides, and then I did the roof in one solid piece, which also covers the front box of the trailer. So that's how we did all that. I've got a little bit on the back that I haven't done yet, but I don't think I'm going to do it because the rear is pretty much all steel. It's the galley, it's the kitchen space, and there's really not a lot of wood to put canvas on back here. So I think I'm going to leave that just the way it is, and I just ran the canvas around the 2 other sides and the roof. So That's what that looks like. I'm gonna let this dry for a little bit, and then I'm gonna come back out here and I'll catch up with you guys and I'll show you what it looks like when it's dry, and then we'll do the final coat of glue onto this thing. So I will catch up with you guys in a couple hours when this is all dry. All right, so it is now the next day. I let this dry overnight, and I'll take you guys off and I'll show you guys what this looks like and then talk about what we have to do next to finish this part of this project. Overall, I'm really happy with it. There was definitely a learning curve, and in hindsight, I don't know, I felt like I watched enough videos and read enough about it that I knew what I was doing, but in hindsight, maybe I should have practiced on some other stuff first. It's not hard, but there is some like technique that I could have probably benefited from had I like practiced or just maybe watched or studied some more. I thought I watched every video I could find on YouTube about this, but that's okay. Or maybe I should have followed some of the videos closer instead of kind of like doing it what I thought would work best. Now, you can kind of see like down here, like there's a little bit of these spots that I'm not happy with. There's a little bit of like wrinkle in the fabric. I think that came mostly from shrinking of the canvas. So as the canvas soaked up the glue and everything, I think it started to shrink a little bit, shrink and pull, and it pulled some of it off. So a couple tips in addition to what I mentioned earlier. I would definitely recommend going slow. So like I found that the tiny brush, the little like 4-inch brush, that one was the best for this kind of project because it was nice to get a nice thick layer of glue. You got to really have a thick layer of glue on the wood or on the substrate. So you want to have a thick layer down there first and then kind of like smooth the canvas into place, hold it down, let it get tacky, and then do the top of it, and then kind of like go on and on and on as you go through the project. I think like some of this is from where I was doing like, I did like this whole section, like an 8-inch tall section along here, and I think that's why this starts to pull up a little bit. So I would definitely say take your time with this, go slow. I'm a lot happier with the roof. The roof was a lot easier to do than the sides were. I'll be honest about that. Probably just because honestly it just lays flat, so it's nice and easy. So we're not quite done yet though. We got a little bit of stuff to do still. So we're not done yet though. This was just the first pass. So I got to come through next, and I'll show you guys as I walk you around here. There's a couple little spots, like little corners, that are mostly down and good, but there's a few little places, like right here, just a little bit of pull up where I just need to get a little bit more glue in there and relay this down. So we're going to go through and get this all laid down nice and tight. I got to go through and double check and trim some things and make this perfect. So let me take you guys off the tripod though. I'll show you what this looks like before we get to the finishing steps. I slightly lied to everybody. The smaller 6x9 sheets from Harbor Freight do not have a seam, but this big, I think this is a 6x12 sheet, does have a seam down the middle of it. I'm not that worried about it. I lined it up in the middle for the most part, and it will be pretty much covered when the bed liner gets on it. So these sides, these are like the last pieces I did, and these I thought turned out a lot nicer. You can see that, like, yes, it's a textured finish, but it's much smoother. There's no wrinkles, no bubbles. This is a really nice sharp line for me. But this is the first panel I did, and you can see that there's a few wrinkles down here, stuff like that. So I've got an iron coming in today actually from Amazon, so I'm going to try to smooth that out a little bit. But if it doesn't get perfectly smooth, I'm not that worried about it. At the end of the day, like, the canvas isn't coming off. It's got enough glue on it that it's certainly not going to peel off of the wood. And if there's just a little bit of wrinkles on this trailer, that's okay. This is the first one I've built. If I were to make another one in the future, I would either do aluminum sides, or I would make sure I do that a little bit better now that I've got a little bit of practice on it. But that's what that looks like. This finish, I was initially a little hesitant about it. Like you can see here in the camera, kind of close up, I was initially a little hesitant that this wasn't going to be strong enough. I was like, there's no way glue and canvas can be this tough. But I mean, listen to that. This is nice. It's really, really strong. And you can, like, I've even ran like a razor blade along some of this part as I was like cutting like these edges here. I've ran a razor blade along this and caused no damage to it whatsoever. There's a few videos on YouTube of guys that have tested this, and they've done drop tests, scratch tests. Even one guy pulled it behind an ATV, and you can see that this stuff is very, very durable, very strong. So this is the worst part and the worst angle of the whole thing back here. As you can see where all those wrinkles are, but this side looks a lot better. There's just a little bit of wrinkling right down there. Up here is pretty good. And then here, as I was like getting my sea legs under me, this up here I think looks really nice. So once again, if I were to do this whole project again, this part of the project again, I definitely feel like I could do a much better job on it than I did this time around. I'm happy enough with this for my first trailer build. I'm happy enough with the product here that we've got. I just think that I could have done a better job of it. And if I make another one of these in the future, I definitely will. In the future, I like this canvas material. This is super tough. I'm sure epoxy and fiberglass resin or fiberglass mat would have been very tough as well, but this was easy, this was local to me, so I could just go grab this stuff. It was cheap, and I'm happy with the finish, like the finish on this. When I bedline over this, this is gonna be a super thick, super durable coating. So overall, I'm happy, but there's definitely things I could have done better. So my piece of advice really boiled down to take your time, you know, make sure you smooth out all these creases as you're going, and I would not personally use staples or brad nails or anything as you're installing this. Maybe one or two up here at like the top to like hold it into place while you get the rest of it down. But that other side, I did do some staples, some small staples to just like pin the fabric into place, the canvas into place, and I think that that stapling is actually what caused it to ripple so badly, because I think it had, you know, the distance between the staples, and then it caused all of the fabric to shrink or expand in those areas specifically. So I would not staple. You don't need to. I thought I did, because when you put it on, it doesn't feel like it's going to stay on. It kind of like, you're like, oh man, I don't think this is going to work. And so I threw some staples in it on the other side. And then after I like started doing it some more, I was like, oh no, this stuff is actually super, super strong. It's not going anywhere. So just take your time with it, and make sure you iron out, smooth out all of these wrinkles down here. So anyways, I'm gonna go through now and I'm gonna go check it. So like this little corner back here, which is peeling back, I need to put some more glue on it and cover around that. So let's do that next. So at this point we have the poor man's fiberglass all completely finished up on this trailer. Overall, as you guys saw on the walk around, I'm pretty happy with this, but there's definitely some things I could have done better, and if I were to do this again, things that I would definitely do better. Now, I just went through, it's still kind of tacky, and just did the last coat. I just used the rest of the glue that I had, and I just completely coated the whole trailer. It honestly kind of sucked using a tiny roller and just rolling it all on there. My arm is kind of smoked right now. But we got that all finished up. As you can see behind me, the trailer is now done. Well, the exterior sealant is all done. The next step that we're going to do in the next video is going to be bed lining this. So I've elected to do a Rhino liner or Raptor liner bed liner on the exterior of this trailer. So that will be in the next video that we're going to do for this trailer. As I said, overall, I'm very happy with the outcome of this product. If I were to do it again, like I said in a previous video, I think I would do aluminum sides on this trailer. With all of the structure with the 1x1 steel I have in here, I can definitely get away with doing some really thin aluminum sides. That would definitely increase the cost substantially, but it would prevent having to do like this kind of finish work. If I were to use aluminum sides, I could have just trimmed it all out, you know, adhered it onto the 1x1s with glue, and then I could have just come through and just painted. I could have finished it, painted it, and just been done with it. That would have saved me a couple days of work, as well as I think making a smoother exterior product. So some other thoughts that I've had like randomly as I've been working on this trailer is I could have done a slightly better design. So I might, if I were to make another one of these again, I would do a slightly different slope right here so you can get away with one panel the whole way through the trailer. If I used aluminum though, aluminum can bend unlike the wood that I used, so that would kind of solve that problem alone. I also don't know if I would do an integrated tongue box if I were to do this again, honestly. I like the look of the integrated tongue box, and it definitely helps kind of like streamline the trailer. It does give it kind of a Pinewood Derby look overall, but I like the look of it. I like the functionality of it, because like I can put a whole 10-foot awning down here. So like I like that, those kind of aspects of it, but it is a little bit more work to have the integrated tongue box. Now, it is a lot cheaper though to build the integrated tongue box than it would have been to try to find a off-the-shelf metal or plastic tongue box to go on here. So I don't know if I would do that again in the future or not, but overall I'm very happy with this. So we're gonna let this dry for a day and then come back out here tomorrow, and we are going to do all of our paint, and that'll be in the next video. Sorry this wasn't so much of a tutorial. There's so many videos on YouTube of people torture testing poor man's fiberglass and of detailed explanations on how to use poor man's fiberglass. As you guys saw, I did it a really basic way. I didn't dilute my glue. I didn't use any fancy tools. I just used glue and some drop canvas that I bought at Harbor Freight, some 8-ounce drop canvas from Harbor Freight, and I just did the glue straight on, canvas on, and then glue on top of the canvas. Do your own research if that's the route you want to go. Overall, I'm happy with this because this was less toxic than using fiberglass. I found it to be very easy to work with, and I find the finished outcome of this to be more than adequate. I think that some of the roughness to it is going to come out when I paint over top of it, and I think that's going to result in a really nice smooth finish. Thankfully, Raptor Liner already has a textured finish to it, so I'm not worried about the texture that this this canvas provides, because I'm going to texture on top of it anyways. So I hope you guys like that. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Leave any comments down below, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.